In this video, we are going to cover some autofocus settings on the Fujifilm X-S20. How I would want to use this camera in the studio, which is why I bought the camera. I bought it as for video in the studio as a backup camera to my X-T5, and I bought it as a good travel camera for hybrid shooting. But mainly, since this camera, number one, is not weather sealed, it's suited best for using it here in the studio. So I've got it mounted on the tripod. I'm using a small rig cage with it, and I've been exploring what are the best settings for a couple of different scenarios that I'll be recording with. And they would be if I wanted to showcase a product, right? If I wanted to hold something up and be able to showcase that. And then the other one would be if I wanted to have just a conversation video where I'm not showcasing any products. Now there's a couple of things to consider in this, and it is whether or not you wanted to use a manual focus, whether or not you want to use area or multi autofocus modes. You want to tweak the settings for tracking sensitivity and autofocus speed. And then finally, whether or not you want to use the vlog mode and turn on product priority mode if you wanted to show a product. So I'm going to cover all of those, and if you stick around to the end, I'll give you my answers on which ones I've chosen. As a hint, it's not going to be the product priority mode. I've got a better solution for that for me, and I'll share that as we go along. I'll also cover when you want to be using Face Eye Auto Detect in the studio. So let's get into it. For these tests, I'm going to be viewing the HDMI output from the camera. So if you see me looking over to my right, I've got a little box on my computer screen that is showing me what the camera is outputting. Okay, so the manual focus. If you have a manual focus only lens and you're using that, or you could just set your camera for manual focus. That would eliminate any focus breathing in the background because focus would not be changing, right? It's just going to be fixed. You would probably want to stop down your aperture a little bit though, so that you just kind of widen out that plane of focus. I'm in focus right now. You can see the red on my glasses, my earrings, and my camera. When I hold it up, you can still see that this is in focus too. But as you notice, as I move it further up, all of a sudden the red peaking goes away and my camera is now out of focus. I bring it back and it starts to come back into focus. So this would be one way to record in a studio for a talking head if you were just going to be sitting down and you had a deep enough plane of focus where whatever you're doing and holding up is going to be in focus. You can even see my watch is in focus here with the red, my button. You can see my earrings here again. So I'm still, everything stays in focus. The background, I'm shooting at f4, so the background is not as blurry as you would get if you had your aperture open a little bit wider, but as you do that, that plane of focus narrows, right? So then I would not be able to hold something up like this and have it still be in focus or partially in focus. And so that would be an example of using this studio setup using manual focus. Okay, so here's a good example. I have Face Eye on, but I'm using area, just the center box. So even if I have something in the box, right? I put this in the box. There you go. See, it found my eyes and it is not focusing on what's in the box, right? Only when I cover my eyes does it actually stay in focus, because part of the camera right now, this part here is in the box. The moment this gets out of the box, I drop it down, you're going to see it's going to grab onto my eyes, and then this is going to, even if I inch this up in the box, it's still going to keep focusing on my eyes. If you're going to use Face Eye Auto Detect and you want to showcase something, you're going to be struggling trying to get it in the box there. Okay, so now we've got multi set up for the focus area, and we've got Face Eye Auto Detect on, right? So it's focusing on my eyes, And if I hold something up, it really doesn't care about that at all. Not until I cover my eyes does it focus on that. But the moment I start to like move things around a little bit, and it's because it's looking for a face, what it thinks is a face. There it goes. Now I found my face again. If I drop the camera down, it finds my eyes again. Okay, so it does a pretty good job of staying focused on your eyes. I just wouldn't recommend wanting to showcase products with the Face Eye Auto Detect on. Okay, face detection is off, multi is on. So now, depending on what's closer to the lens, that's what the camera is going to choose to focus on. So I take this away, I'm back in focus. I hold this up, this now is in focus. I move it around, it's in focus, it doesn't matter, right? If I move my hand up closer to the lens, I'm out of focus, and so is the camera. And if I move my hand back, camera comes back into focus. If I drop everything down, I come back into focus. And just if you notice, the background stays out of focus. We're at f2. This is good if you want it to just focus on the closest thing to the lens, which in this case would be me. There's no Face Eye Detect on. If I wasn't going to be showcasing anything or holding up products or showing different things on the screen, I would be better off to go with the Face Eye Auto Detect on, because then I can move around pretty easily and it'll still keep tracking me. This is product priority mode, and you can see that it keeps the item that you're holding up in focus as you go, right? If you put that down, just pay attention to the lamps in the background and just keep your eye on that as you hold things up and you put them down. I'm just trying to minimize any focus breathing or shifting of the background as you, especially if you talk with your hands or you're picking up lots of things to show. It might shift more, especially if you're using a wide open aperture. Right now we're at f4, so if I come up here and we pull this down to f, all right, that's about the best we're going to get at 1.4. So watch the lamp in the background. And as long as it's going nice and smooth, you should be good. I'm just running some problems when there you go, you can see. Right now, the camera staying in focus, it's trying to grab onto my hand because I'm moving that too. And as soon as my hand becomes the focal point, the camera drops off. If I move the camera down and that down, I think we're pretty good here. There you go. So that's what product priority mode. So basically you can just hold things up at the side, right in the front, and it's just going to focus on that. You drop it down, it should come right back to you. Okay, so what are my conclusions? Well, assuming you are using an XS20 or a similar camera, and your camera's on a tripod and you want to record in the studio. So that's why I'm doing this test, was to see if I can sort out what's going to be the best mode for me to make my conversation videos and product review videos, anything that I want to record here in the studio. Well, we've got the first choice, which is just shoot in manual, right? You either have a manual lens or you're just going to set your camera for manual focus. If you're going to do that, then you probably want to stop down your aperture enough so that there's a deep enough plane of focus for you to stay in focus when you're sitting there. Turn on peak highlighting so that you can judge where you are and when you're in focus. And then you just leave that set and you record your video. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it would be to use the area focus, and that has the box, which is what I'm using right now to record this portion of this video. I'm sitting in the box. So I'm sitting in the box, my face is staying in focus. If I move my hands, like I do a lot, they're not crossing the path of the box, so my face is not going to go out of focus and go back into focus and go out of focus. The aperture you can have wide open pretty much with the area because, again, It's not hunting outside of the box for anything. If you want to show products, you've got two choices. You can use the vlog mode and use product priority mode, and that seems to work okay. You probably want to stop down your aperture just a little bit. That might stop some of that pulsing and hunting that can happen. The other way is to use that multi-mode, which I really like because it's great for showing products, and you can just hold something, whatever's closest to the lens is going to be in focus, right? So you do want to make sure though that you have Face Eye Auto Detect turned off if you plan on lifting anything up and having it be the focal point, because it's not going to take focus off of your face and your eyes to go take focus of a camera, right? It's not going to do that. If you want to just have your face in focus all the time, well then you can use multi or area, and you can just put Face Eye Auto Detection on if you don't plan on bringing anything up. And of course, even if you do have Face Eye Auto Detection on, if you get the item up and block your face and your eyes, you will be able to get that item into focus. It's just not the most elegant way to do that. Understanding what you're planning to do in your video will make it a lot easier, and I would use some of the C dials, like the C1, C2, C3 settings on your camera to set up different recording modes. So like right now I'm in C3. Okay, so C3 is area with Face Eye off, and it's just the box. So if I switch over to C2, I will be in the multi-mode. So let's just do that real quick. So now we are in C2. And I've got that one set up for multi-focus, and the Face Eye Auto Detect is off. Okay? So now I can hold up a camera and it's going to be in focus, and my face will be out of focus. And if I put the camera down, my face will be back in focus. And with that, I think I've got the tracking and the sensitivity as a +2 and then a -2 on the autofocus. And that seems to work pretty well. I can hold this up, as you can see, and go right across, just like you can in product priority mode. The only problem with this mode, like I mentioned again, if you start talking with your hands and you start picking things up and putting them up in front of you in the plane of focus where your face is, and you move things out of it, it's going to grab focus. Just like it's doing right now with my hands. It's grabbing focus of my hands and my face is blurred. If I pull back, it'll come back to my face. So you can tweak the autofocus speed and the tracking sensitivity. You can tweak those to get a pleasant look for the video that you're going to be recording. Thanks very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.